Hello, thanks for joining this keynote. I'm Loïc Bar, one of the founder and CEO of Opinum. Before getting started, I'd like to show you a short video that will introduce the company and our product. We observe three main trends in the energy sector. From centralized to decentralized energy production, an accelerated rollout of smart meters, and more local energy communities. As a consequence, we see that data production is booming. Large quantity of data means dealing with silos, data quality issue, and difficulties to leverage data into meaningful insights.
There are plenty of generic platforms out there to manage data. What makes us unique is that we created a platform designed to address the specific needs of energy and environmental actors, allowing our customers to embed their own IP into the platform. Thanks to a flexible data processing engine, the platform is scalable and allows you, in a constant changing environment, to opt for a long-term solution.
Opinum Data Hub covers all the stages of data management, from data collection and enhancement to data post-processing and visualization. All features and data are exposed as an API, allowing our customers to build on top of our Data Hub. The API is transforming the Data Hub into a real backbone to build new digital solutions.
Data Hub is the foundation to build business-oriented application in the energy and water sector. As an example, power and gas utilities can leverage our API to build an energy management system for their customers, for them to benchmark the energy consumption and do savings on the energy bill. Water utilities can use our advanced data processing logic to predict water leaks on the grid. And finally, local energy communities can maximize the usage of local energy by better forecasting production and consumption. Every year we come all together to discuss the product, look at the roadmap and what will come next. And we try to do that face to face. Obviously this year, due to the pandemic, we had to move the presentation online. And today we want to take a bit of time to discuss the consequences of this pandemic. And we think there are two takeaways to look at. The first one is really the way we had to adapt and to the new way of working, leveraging more digital technologies. And we already discussed that at Opinum to see how digital technologies change the way we work in the energy sector. And we see that in three different areas. The first one is really using the digital technology to better operate your assets. If you are, for example, a wind turbine operator, you can use IoT and digital technologies to be better informed about the behavior of your wind turbine and predict failure or predict the energy production of your wind turbine. The second way is really looking into the way you engage with your customers. Obviously, because you sit on a lot of data, you can leverage data into meaningful insights and provide more information to your customers using digital portal, visualization, and reports and alerts, for example. And then the last piece of your business that is changed is really the way you sell, what you sell, and then you can use digital technology to transform your business model. And today I'd like to talk about one of the cases where a company had to really change the way they engage with their customers due to the pandemic. It's a maintenance company. And obviously as a maintenance company, you need to go to the building and start to inspect the boiler, the heat pump, and all the different technical assets of the buildings. And due to the pandemic, obviously people were not able to move into the building. And if you look at houses, it's even more difficult because people were really sitting in the house and they didn't want to receive anybody in the home. And this company has to adapt, and using IoT and data connectivity, they were able to retrieve information from the buildings remotely and start to detect anomalies and before going to the building they know what they had to do, and before going to a house, if the problem can be solved by the house owner, they could instead of going there, they could call the different people and tell them what to do to fix the issue. And this new way of working, this new way of leveraging technologies really allow the company to lower or avoid completely the contacts between different people and still do the job of a maintenance company. And obviously, due to the pandemic, we had to also look at our own roadmap. And at Opinum, we try also to help you connect with IoT devices through the concept of connectors. We have built a lot of connectors into the data platforms, such as SMAPI, Maxi. But we get a lot of requests from our customers during the pandemic to actually change a bit our roadmap and look to connect more assets that usually were not connected. One of the examples I already mentioned is the boiler that everybody has in his house. Most of the time this boiler is not connected because you need to go there and inspect. It's a legal obligation that everyone has. But during the pandemic, it was not possible to go there, and what we see is that a lot of the boiler company they start to build their own APIs and they collect data to expose this data to the different parties. And before the pandemic, all these APIs and this connectivity was really not used. And what we see right now is that due to the pandemic, people were really looking into how to access this data, and they ask obviously Opinum to change the roadmap of our connectors to start connecting with this kind of devices. And this is why, for example, we have developed the VR connector that you will see later on some demos. And the second takeaway I want to discuss with you today is really how the lockdown has impacted the environment. And obviously, if you think about factories, buildings, they were really empty with no consumption or almost no consumption. People were consuming obviously in the house, but the consumption that they had is really lower than what we see in buildings and factories. Obviously, I wanted also to look at the CO2 emission, and everywhere in the news we see that during the lockdown the CO2 emission were also decreasing due to the consumption and the empty factories, empty buildings. But if you look at the CO2 emission on a broader scale, you see that the pandemic has a really little impact on the CO2 emission, which means that as a company we still need to do our efforts to get CO2 neutral or to decrease our CO2 emission, and this is something Opinum is committed to do, and we will discuss that today with Gilles from Transcendence. Hi Gilles, thanks for joining us today to discuss sustainability. I can propose you to introduce yourself and then let's discuss together about this topic.
Yes, hello Loïc, I'm very happy to be here for this event. I'm Gilles Questiu, I'm a journalist for Transcendence focusing on technology and startups. And yes, today we're going to talk about sustainability because Opinum is launching a new product, a CO2 neutral product. Maybe you can tell us a little more about this product?
Yes, this year we started to take into account CO2 emission in every process of the company. Most of the company, they do that by looking at the CO2 emission that they produce whenever they commute, or by the CO2 that they emitted through energy consumption in building. But at Opinum we wanted also to look at the servers, because obviously one of the main resources that we use as an IT company is all the servers that are there to actually process all the calculation, but also store all the data from our customers. And we wanted for our customer, when they use the Opinum data platform, to be sure that they are not emitting any CO2, which means that we will really compensate every emission coming from our server, as well as our building and all the commutes that we do to go to the office.
It's something that is not really well known, but because when we talk about CO2 emissions, we think, like you said, about commuting, about cars, think about buildings also, but not necessarily about IT, but the tools that we use and what we are doing right now. Actually, there are some CO2 emissions also, and it's in fact a big source of CO2 emission.
Yeah, we were also impressed by the numbers about CO2 emission coming from internet. Actually, it accounts for 2% of the global CO2 emission, which is quite big, obviously. And this is why we really wanted to have a focus on this. And if you look at the current pandemic with the COVID-19, you can see that the CO2 emission and the usage of internet has grown really, really fast, which means that the 2% that we take into account right now is probably more right now. And this is why really we wanted also to look at this pillar of CO2 emission and also take that into account in the global CO2 footprint of Opinum.
So you want that your use of IT to be CO2 neutral, but you want also to go further ahead. You want to convince your business partners to advance to this CO2 neutrality also.
Yes, indeed. Opinum is a rather small company. We are, as a product company, a software company, we have less resources than a retailer, for example, or a service-oriented company, which means that our impact alone on CO2 emission and CO2 reduction is not as big as we wish. Although we are a network company, which means that we are surrounded by partners and suppliers, and we wanted also to lead the way for these companies to actually join us in the effort of CO2 reduction. And to do that, we partner with our supplier for CO2 emission, which is CO2 Logic. It's a Belgium-based company, and we want to propose together with them a package for our suppliers and partners to be involved into this process. For now, it will be something that we propose for them to actually join the effort, but by 2022 we want to force every supplier and partners around Opinum to be CO2 neutral, as Opinum will be this year.
Broader impact. Maybe you can also elaborate about the way that this CO2 neutrality materializes, because is it through energy savings, or is it through a compensation mechanism, or both?
Yeah, obviously it's a bit of both. When you do a CO2 footprint calculation, the first thing you do is not compensate everything by giving money. The first thing you do is looking at the possible action that you can take to lower your CO2 emission. One of the things we did at Opinum is change the car policy by making sure that employees can get access to lower impact vehicles in terms of CO2, but also try to change the habits of the different employees. For example, the habits for commuting at the office. Whenever you want to come by a CO2-free vehicles, for example, like a bike, we should also provide incentive for a customer, but also for the employee to come by another vehicles. And bike obviously is less CO2, is less fuel. It's less money that you spend actually for the car on itself, and you can take back a bit of this money and provide incentive for your employee to come by another kind of vehicles.
When we were preparing this interview, you told me that you already developed for your clients some energy savings solutions that are quite advanced already. Maybe you can give us some examples of what you are doing right now.
Yeah, well, obviously by providing the building blocks for building solution that will have an impact on the energy production or energy savings, we do participate into CO2 emission reduction, but in an indirect way. One of the examples that it's good to provide is the one we have with Total. We've provided all the technology that help them to build an energy management portal for their B2B customers that will provide them with insights on their energy consumption and ultimately will help them to decrease their energy consumption in buildings. And then by providing all the technology that Opinum is building, we indirectly help a lot of companies to decrease the CO2 emission that they have and try to actually make sure that we contribute to a better world.
CO2 neutrality, and we're talking about it since the beginning of this interview, but is it also a kind of a marketing tool? Is it some kind of greenwashing?
Yeah, obviously some companies use CO2 footprint calculation to do greenwashing and marketing, but it really depends on how you apply it to your own business. At Opinum, we really want to take CO2 into account in every decision-making action that we take. And obviously, if you transform the CO2 emission into euro and then you take this euro into account when you take a decision, it changes the way you work and the action that you take. And then it's not anymore greenwashing. For example, if we want to organize, for example, an activity with our employee, before taking into account the CO2 emission, an activity could be really inexpensive, but if you take CO2 emission into account, then the activity can become expensive, and then you change the activities that you wanted to do. And then by doing so, I think it's not really doing marketing. You need to do marketing also with this kind of topic, but it's marketing to lead the way, to prove that to other companies that's possible to do. But it's also, I think, getting prepared for the future, because what we see right now at the European Commission level is that there is a lot of regulation that will come and that will force companies to work that way. And by anticipating this kind of logic and apply it right away for Opinum, we think that we get prepared for the future, and we will be ready when the regulation will come.
That is quite important for your clients or for all the businesses. Can this CO2 neutrality target be also a way of lowering the cost of money saving in the company?
Yeah, obviously I already mentioned the example of the car and the bike. Obviously if you use the bike, you use less money than for the car. But it's the same thing when you look at your energy consumption in the building. If you lower your energy consumption, obviously you lower your bill. Then looking at CO2 has also financial benefits that you need to take into account, but which means that you need to take action also. Like I mentioned, it's not just paying for actually compensate all your CO2 emission. It's also looking into what the action that can be taken to lower this CO2 emission. And obviously a lot of the actions that are linked to CO2 are linked to less resources used and obviously less money spent on these resources. And I think, yes, it's beneficial for the planet, for the people, and for the money as well.
And if you take a broader perspective in the future, do you think that this CO2 neutrality will progressively be implemented through every decision-making process in the businesses? Can you say that it will become maybe a new standard?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a study from McKinsey in Germany where they've proved that they've surveyed a lot of entrepreneurs about sustainability, and 53% of them say that sustainability will be very vital for the business to succeed. And then it's a major trend that we see here. And as already mentioned, we see a lot of regulation coming, and you need to get ready to try to think with CO2 with this new constraint. And if you see it as a constraint in your business, like financial needs, talent needs, etc., you can really start to think about strategy to take that into account and be sustainable also for your business, and you will still be there in 10 or 20 or 30 years from now.
So thank you very much for your answers, Loïc. I was very happy to be part of this event, and well, see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Thanks for joining. Now let's talk about Opinum Data Hub. And today I want to cover 3 topics. The first one would be around security of your data. The second topic would be about the new version of Data Hub. And the last one is how we deliver the product through our partner network. Okay, let's focus on the security aspect of data. You know, security is something really important for most of our customers. They are always asking questions about how they send us the data, how we secure the data, where we store the data. And until now, we get an offering through Microsoft Azure. But because of the criticality of some of the data, customers are also asking to get access to the data and store the data in the local country and also managed by local companies. And to discuss that, I'd like to introduce our partner, Agora Calice. Hi Eric, thanks for joining me today. Can you please introduce yourself, and then we'll discuss the partnership that we have together to propose a sovereign cloud.
Of course. Hello, Loïc. Thanks for the invitation. In fact, I'm managing Agora Calice. Agora Calice is an IT company based in Strasbourg, in France. We also have offices in Paris and Lyon. And we are providing private hosting solutions. We are providing complex hosting solutions in private cloud environments. So we are operating 3 data centers in France and 2 in Asia, and having some partnership across Europe and US when it's necessary. Our clients are mainly software IT companies, web agencies, but also final clients in industry, services, telco, and media, and of course, a software company like you, and that's why we are working together.
Yeah, this is really a topic that we see and a concern that we see at our customers, especially in the energy sector. You know, the metering data are really critical information, and our customers are really concerned about who will get access to this data because eventually their own customers will be concerned as well. And I think what we see right now is that the customers are convinced about cloud offering and software as a service. Although they would like to have this kind of service provided by companies that are local and within data centers to store this data that are also in the country. And I think this is really something important, and this is something you develop. Can you give your opinion on that?
You know, we have a lot of clients looking for even having local solution, of course, because of Patriot Act. They want to have local data. They want to secure the data. They want to be comfortable with that with their client, with their shareholder. So they are looking for clearly local solution. But also now some of our clients looking for something more. Maybe something more closer with their teams, with all the people that are working around such kind of project. So it's not only a question of Patriot Act and having local solution. It's also a question of having someone who is very close to your business, to our clients, and able to be at the good moments available on the phone for resolving any problem or for looking for any new project. So. As we are proposing hand-to-hand solutions, they are looking for someone who can also propose some local proposal offer, and that's why we are on this specific part of the business. And clearly, this is something that's something we are going to propose more and more for our clients.
Yeah, that's interesting. Obviously. Like I mentioned, Agora Calice and Opinum will join forces to propose a sovereign cloud offering, which means that the data will be located in the country, but also managed by a company owned by French citizen, which means that we'll be able to reassure a customer about the location and who has access to the data. But when it comes to security, we need to make sure that we provide the same level of security than others. The big cloud provider such as Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Alibaba, they have a lot of capabilities and money to put on the table to make sure that they secure the data. What do you think about that, and what do you do at Agora Calice to provide the same level of security?
Clearly, yes, of course. We have now 7 years of experience in this kind of project, and clearly we have some figure that prove that we are able to propose this SLA to our clients too. So we have this commitment, and we are able to respect it. Moreover, we have strong experience in complex solutions, and we are using. Often for our clients, we are using some multi-cloud solutions too. So we are able to connect our client with a solution like Microsoft, Google's, or Amazon. It's not a problem for us. But yes, for the security, clearly it's the same. We have some certification, the ISO 27 in France. So we can also manage some data coming from health in France. And it's clearly something very specific in France for us. I know it's also something specific in Belgium, but it's not the same law and the same rules all across Europe, and clearly it's not the same in the US. That's also why we have some clients now who are looking for local solution like us. It's because we're able to manage this kind of data.
Yeah. Thanks for your time today, and it's a pleasure to work with you to propose this new offering together for our customers to make sure that we can know and manage the data the way they want. And see you later. To sum up what we have seen right now with Agora Calice, Opinum will provide you with a new cloud offering in a sovereign cloud, which means that your data will be located in France and also managed by a company where all the shareholders are French citizens. We are now working with other partners around the world to make sure that we can offer this kind of services in other countries as well. Now let's discuss about Data Hub 5.0. Last year, during our event, we presented a preview of the new version of Data Hub 5.0. As you know, we've developed the new version of the Data Hub portal from scratch, and we did so to improve the speed of access to your data, the user experience, but also we introduced a new concept of connectors. And you can already use the new version of the portal by accessing the preview. Every user have access to it, and if you experienced it already, you have seen that, for example, the dashboard displays 7 times faster than before. But I don't want to focus too much on this new version because we'll have a session today owned by Clarisse Millet, Head of Product Management, that will show you all the new features of this new portal. But you have seen also in June that we introduced a new concept of the marketplace. The marketplace aims at providing you easier access to data that are owned by third-party providers, such as weather information, financial information about the energy price, and so on and so on. But we want to go further than that. The marketplace should be also a place where you can find new algorithms that will help you to get faster into data analytics. Until now, what you need to do is going to the platform and writing some code. If somebody already provided this version of code or this kind of algorithms, we want you to have faster access to it. And then the marketplace will introduce a new concept. Instead of just getting access to the data, you will be also to embed features that others have built to accelerate your data analytics. And to discuss this topic, I'd like to invite Schneider Electric. Hello Sylvain, hello Philippe, thanks for joining me today to discuss the partnership we have together with Schneider Electric in the context of the Opinum Marketplace. First of all, could you please introduce yourself to the audience, and then we will discuss what we do together.
Hello Loïc, Sylvain and myself are both in Schneider Digital Organization in the IoT and Digital Offer team. Personally, I'm in the Schneider Electric Exchange team.
And I'm Sylvain Marier, machine learning expert and architect.
Yeah, thanks for your introduction. As you mentioned, you are part of the digital and data science team of Schneider Electric. Can you explain a bit more what you do in terms of data science in your department?
Well, our mission as a team is to gather the Schneider Electric expertise in energy management and industrial automation and to combine it with cutting-edge data science skills and to bring this value for all developers of the Schneider Electric Exchange ecosystem.
Those developers being either external or internal, this ecosystem is really a broader and open ecosystem that we are developing at the moment, and any developer can leverage those capabilities and those competencies that Sylvain was explaining.
Thanks for this explanation. Opinum is also part of the Schneider Electric Exchange program. And we decided to start a collaboration on a specific module that you have developed within this department, which is called Building Energy Modeling. Can you explain a bit how it can be used, what data needs to be filled in, and what is the outcome that you get from this kind of model?
As you know, buildings are consuming energy, and this is mostly due to heating, to ventilation, to cooling. The facility managers are working very hard to reduce this energy consumption through different ECMs, through different energy conservation measures. And year after year, they need to track all those savings. The Building Energy Modeling API helps them to learn the normal behavior of the building in terms of energy consumption from past data. And with this, they can predict the expected energy consumption of the future based on any parameter such as external temperature, building occupancy, and many others.
And what's more, the models are compliant with the IPMVP standard, so building professionals can use it with confidence.
Yeah, actually this model provides a lot of value for our customer, and being available through the marketplace is really a time to market accelerator for them, because they used to develop this kind of IPMVP calculation by themselves by putting some R logic into the data, but now with this API and this model pre-integrated through the marketplace, it's really a time saver for them. But the funny thing is, when we started to implement this model together with our common customers, the pandemic started to change the behavior of the energy usage in building, obviously, because people were not going anymore to the building, and as the model used historical data to actually try to fit the actual consumption with the forecasted consumption, we've seen a big difference. But we could actually use the model by changing a few parameters. Can you explain how the model behaves in such of circumstances?
Yeah, sure. So during the COVID period, as you know, most buildings were unoccupied, and that was the case for the Aveltis building. And facility managers reacted intelligently to unoccupancy by adapting their building management system to the new condition and continue to save energy, of course. But what about those savings computation that Philippe was talking about? They were not computed right? So actually, the building energy modeling allowed the facility managers to declare that particular period as inoccupied, same as weekends, so as to accurately predict the building consumption until the re-entry period.
Thanks for your participation, and see you next time. As you have seen in this interview, we want to provide you access to existing block of software that will help you accelerate the way you analyze your data. And if you are a software company or a data scientist company and you want to provide access to your block to our user, you can reach to us, and we will see how we can integrate your own algorithms into the platform. This feature is now in preview, which means that if you want to use it, it's not publicly available on the marketplace. You can contact us and we can activate some features for specific icons. And as you have seen, Opinum is really a network company. We partner with different companies for our marketplace, for example, with Data Broker, with Schneider Electric, but also others to provide algorithms out of the box in the marketplace. But we also work with partners to deliver a product to our customers. For the past 2 years, we established partnership with system integrators all around the world. It helps us, for example, to deliver a product in Vietnam through a partnership with KDDI, but also with companies such as the Water Group. And to discuss this topic, I'd like to introduce you to DXC, which was amongst the first system integrators to partner with Opinum, and with Alexis. Hello Alexis, thanks for joining me today for the keynote. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about DXC and specifically what you do within the energy sector?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Loïc, and thanks for inviting me to this keynote. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Alexis Delogne. I'm one of the partners in consulting, member of DXC Technology. So DXC Technology is a global IT company. We're present at worldwide level. We have a specific focus on the energy sector, especially in Belgium, where we do quite some work around smart metering, prepayment solutions on this smart metering, where we do also a little bit more on data analytics gradually together with Opinum, for example. So that's a little bit our current footprint. Maybe important to add as an introduction to DXC is that we don't have own IP, own solutions, and we focus a lot on partners. So partners, you can think of very big partners like IBM, SAP, Microsoft, and so on. But we also focus on more the startup world, because we believe there is quite some agility, innovation that we can capture over there. And we are convinced that there is quite some complementarity to be played out.
You were among the first to partner with Opinum. We do have a lot of system integrator partners, but we already have quite a lot of projects together with DXC. It would be actually nice for the audience to, for your own perspective, if you can explain one of the projects we did together.
Yeah, okay. I've been thinking, I think the Water Group, so it's a company active in the water sector in Belgium, could be a good example. It's an example of the complementarity that both of our companies can bring to the table in the advantage of a customer. Here, the Water Group is willing to move forward on smart metering in the water sector. They wanted to test out a number of technologies, have a better idea on the viability of a number of solutions in terms of availability of data for customers. And they were looking for a way to, in a short implementation time, in an agile way, bring first solutions to customers in the pilot mode. And there, DXC and Opinum worked together. We didn't provide the meters, of course, but we provided the platform, the Opinum platform, to capture the data, to make it available for the customers internally and externally to the Water Group. In a very short term, and the Water Group was very pleased with that project. It's still up and running, and based on that, they have been able to take the next step. So we bring to the table the DXC, from a DXC point of view, the stability, the knowledge of metering in the electricity, gas sector, which is quite equivalent to the water sector. And from the Opinum point of view, you bring a solution that is proven, that is flexible, agile, and that is very easily deployable. In addition, it has a very good user interface, very intuitive, which matches the requirements of the customer and pleases the end consumer of the Water Group. I think that's one of the key references that we have, and it's a good example of how we bring both our strengths together to satisfy customer needs.
Thanks for all the positive things that you have said about Opinum and the data hub. We see that into concrete actions. We do more and more business, not only in Belgium, but also in the neighborhood countries like France. And obviously we hope to do more business together in the future. Okay, let's recap what we have seen today. First of all, Opinum will become a CO2 neutral company by the end of 2020. And that's really important. We want to lead the way, but we want also to provide to a supplier and partner ways to get access to CO2 footprint and CO2 compensation through the partnership we have built with CO2 Logic. And then we discuss the product and the company. For the last year, we have worked on an on-prem version of the Opinum Data Hub, and that gave us the opportunity to work on a new cloud offering, which is a sovereign cloud offering, which will increase the trust we already have with our customers when it comes to hosting their data. We spoke about also the new version of the Data Hub and the Marketplace, and we will have new sessions later today to discuss these topics. And finally, we want to remind everyone that Opinum is a network company. We partner with system integrators to better deliver our product. We partner with data scientist company to provide new building blocks for the Data Hub. And we partner also with IoT provider to ease access to their data through the Data Hub. Altogether, we want to provide the digital building blocks that will accelerate the energy transition. And if you want to have a deeper look into the different topics that we discussed today, we have plenty of sessions for this afternoon where you will see more about our product, our community, and every aspect of our business. Thanks for watching.